It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Carbon Express,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Scent Hunting Sense,
Killer Food Plots, Seeds, Supplements, and Attractants,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Limb Walker Turkey Calls,
Antler Action,
Family Tradition Tree Stands,
and Twisted Mind Bowstrings. And don't forget, you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com.
Welcome back, everybody. We're back in the cabin.
How's it feel?
You know what? There was some snow this morning, so I was kind of feeling a little cold.
Yeah.
But the temperatures aren't too bad, so I'm just gearing up to be Moses.
Being what?
We're gonna have to part the watery ways here.
I was like, where is he going with this?
Because they're expecting like 3 inches of rain in the next 2 days, dude.
I know it. It's going to be terrible here. Well, it's going to be warm, but it's going to be wet.
Right. So, but anyways, we are back in the cabin.
We were on the road last weekend.
Show number 452.
That's right. Rocking along.
Yep.
You know, last week we talked a little bit about this on the show, what we did up at Turtle Lake. The people, things we saw, the people we talked to, all of our friends we saw, but we got to actually, let's just jump right into this show today.
Somebody special showed up.
Yeah, didn't have a clue as we were going to be talking to.
Right.
So we actually got to sit down and talk to a Michigan State rep. We talked about this last week on the show, but this week we had to actually bring you the interview that Danny and I had the pleasure of doing with Triston Cole, the 105th rep for the state of Michigan, up in northwestern Michigan,
Yep.
Up in that area. So he was at the camp, and he wanted to talk a little bit about the Michigan Hunters Caucus. Is that
the Michigan Sportsman's Hunters Caucus, I think, is the official.
Okay, so
Which we didn't know we had.
didn't know we had one, but we do now.
So we're going to talk all about it.
All right, so without further ado, here's our interview with Triston.
Today we are at Turtle Lake Club in northern Michigan. I tell you what county, but actually it resides in 3 counties. It's a tri-county area, but it's a big hunting camp up here in Michigan, and we're part of Dr. James Kroll's Deer Health
check.
As
As
the
he
deer
called
herd.
it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So, it brought Danny up here with me, and actually we're sitting down now. And I guess this is the garage bay off to the side of where they're doing the deer necropsies.
Right.
But we're with Lincoln Roan of Michigan Deer Hunters, Let Them Go, Let Them Grow. And also Triston Cole, who is a state representative here in Michigan. You're actually the first person I've talked to that is a government official here on the podcast, and you represent the 105th District. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I represent the 105th District, which is Charlevoix, Antrim, Otsego, Montmorency, and Oscoda counties. And it's a pleasure to have been invited out here to take part in this today, to learn more about the inner workings of the whitetail deer, and to listen to the experts on this. And that just feeds into my desire to learn more about how we effectively manage the whitetail deer population here in Michigan, utilizing our sportsmen, and how we move towards quality versus quantity so that we can maintain the hunting tradition that we've seen for generation after generation in Michigan.
You know, we went to deer school today. I mean, we had our education. Lincoln, you've been here before. I've been here before. This is Danny's first time.
My first time.
Trent, is this your first time? Okay. So we got school today, but now we want to talk about the future of Michigan deer here. We want to talk about how we can use our representatives in the state, what they're doing for us. And for people who don't know Michigan, get out your trusty little map. Get out your hand, look at the back of it. You're kind of like the ring finger and the pinky area and the middle finger up on your left hand, looking at the back of it. So.
Absolutely. So if you look at it, kind of knuckles north, including the Upper Peninsula, that's what we call the Northern Caucus area. A lot of us in that area, there's 12 representatives out of 110 statewide. We are very much in tune with how heavily dependent our local economies, our constituents are on hunting. It's a big deal from spring turkeys all the way through the youth deer hunt, all the way through archery, firearm, and late firearm. It's we eat, sleep, and breathe sportsmen up here. We have a lot of hunting camps that are an important part of our districts, and the more that we know about how to communicate with the Department of Natural Resources, and we can only do that if our constituents reach out to us. It's important that sportsmen step up and visit us during coffee hours, come to Lansing and visit us, give us a call, write us emails, and we don't need eloquent, perfect grammar emails. What's great is a couple of pictures and the personal story from sportsmen and constituents that, I'm seeing too many does, or I had a quality hunting experience because we've been shooting does, whatever that is. But the main thing is to have communication with your elected representatives.
We also found out you're part of the. Oh, are they changing tires over here or what in the garage? It kind of scared me for a minute. You're part of the Sportsman's Caucus. Quite frankly, I didn't know we had a Sportsman's Caucus here in Michigan. I mean, I'd like to think that there's people, up on in Michigan's government there in Lansing, battling for for us. We're facing CWD, we're facing TB, we're facing hunter recruitment. Talking about some of those things, $100, going into the DNR and being used in the right places. Mm-hmm. What is the Sportsman's Caucus? I mean, what do you guys do to try to lobby on our part to the DNR and to maybe get things implemented to try and take care of some of these problems? What's going on right now?
Sure. So the Sportsman's Caucus is bipartisan and bicameral, meaning there is a co-chair, and I co-chair for the Republicans on the House side. So there's a Democrat House co-chair, and there's a Republican and Democrat co-chair on the Senate side as well. And each month we get together, have a breakfast, and just a couple of days ago we had Dr. Kelly Straka there talking about CWD. But it's a place for representatives and senators to come together. We've got Bassmasters folks there. We've got almost all of the top DNR brasses there, the directors there. We've got NRC members that are there. We've got folks from nearly any sportsman organization there is in Michigan that come to this breakfast to interact with legislators. And throughout the year, there's different presentations that go on. One of the things that I'm very excited about doing is making sure that we share experiences with legislators statewide. Meaning, in a couple of weeks or so, we're going to have legislators from all over the state up here in Gaylord going up in a plane with the DNR to look at the elk. Okay. So why is that important? Well, two reasons. One, they're going to learn about the Michigan elk herd. Two, they're going to learn about habitat. So downstate, they're hearing about the forest management techniques and DNR's cutting all the trees down. When you're flying over the Pigeon State Forest, we've got lots of trees. Right. But it gives us an opportunity to talk about the importance of good forest health, which dovetails right into habitat management on our own properties.
Mm-hmm. That's something Danny and I have been working with on our own properties. Yep. Logging projects. We've got oak wilt, we've got spruce budworm that is really wreaking havoc at my place. Danny's hasn't been logged in quite a while, and he just took on a big project up there.
I just logged last year.
So, we understand how that habitat is so important. And, we need some of our legislators, especially from downstate, that maybe don't know the big woods of Michigan. I mean, I've heard a lot of people that's never been past the Zilwaukee Bridge. Right. So, we need to get our legislators, like you said, maybe share some of those experiences, get them involved with us.
Well, then when they hear about invasive species coming, like, for example, here's something for the listeners to look up, the lanternfly. Okay, it's been found in Pennsylvania in several counties. What is the lanternfly? Look it up, check it out. It's something that can be absolutely devastating to our forests up here in our fruit tree operations. It's something that we need sportsmen. We're on the front line. We're major property managers out there. We're out with our eyes and ears all the time in the woods. We need the relationship with the DNR so that we can share what we're seeing. Whether it's oak wilt, whether it's some of the other diseases, beech blister, all of these different pressures that are out there, we're on the front lines. And we need to make sure the department is taking advantage of our expertise out there because we're doing it. And from my side on the state legislature, or in the state legislature rather, I converse with the DNR almost on a daily basis to make sure we have good communication. And you hit it just a minute ago. We've got to find solutions. If we're going to focus on quality versus quantity, 90% of the DNR's budget is based on license sales. Mm-hmm. That's an issue that we need to solve. I think there are solutions out there because we have the perfect storm right now. We've got intense disease pressures, ongoing with TB and increasing with CWD right now in the state. We also have a decreasing hunter population. We need to turn that around, and we have an increasing deer herd. All of those things colliding, this is the perfect storm, perfect for changing the management philosophies in whitetail deer hunting to protect the tradition here in the state.
Something you mentioned a few minutes ago, you're talking about the two different factions, the Republicans and Democrats being there in the House and working together. That's something we don't hear very much of. I like to think in my heart, doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, if we love the outdoors, we got a passion for it, we like to hunt, fish, hike, camp, whatever. I like to think you guys are really working together up there.
We do, and you don't see that on the news. I'll give you a story. Just a few miles from here, over in Spar, which is just east of Gaylord, 2 years ago, I brought State Representative Harvey Santana, inner city Detroit. I mean, he works and lives in gang country in the middle of Detroit. I brought him up to chase black bears with hounds. Okay. It was an amazing experience. He brought his 10-year-old daughter with him, and I had them 2.5 miles back in a Michigan swamp chasing black bears. He wants to buy a cabin in northern Michigan. He understands the passion now that I have for Sportsman's activities, no matter what it is. And we've brought legislator after legislator after legislator up here to experience activities like running black bears with hounds, but it gives them a glimpse of the passion and why this is important to the state of Michigan.
Absolutely. There's just one thing about experiencing it, like you said. Getting them to tell them about it is one thing, but to have them actually experience it, totally a different atmosphere.
Yeah. And so the legislature is all about relationships, just like I have with Lincoln here. It's building communication, and right now we have a sportsman's community that has a healthy distrust long-term of the Department of Natural Resources. We have to lay things on the table and tell it how it is. And I've told the director straight out, that's what it is. There is a distrust of the DNR based on their management techniques and philosophies. We're working on changing that. It's going to take a while. This is a big, ginormous department. And it's got to turn, but it's going to take some time. I'm convinced that the top levels in the DNR want to do this. And we're finding the pathways there. I know Lincoln's had some conversations. I'm having ongoing conversations. We need more sportsmen to engage on this to help us be successful.
You know, and look at
it's big for a group such as Let 'Em Go, Let 'Em Grow to have Triston's. I mean, we've been in constant contact for the last couple of months, and it's as I'm trying to, or we are trying to, spin that wheel of the ship, this ginormous ship. It's taking time to turn, but it is turning, and with help from our legislatures like Triston, and I've got some other legislatures that we're going to be talking to coming up, and but working together with these guys has been huge, and it's been neat for me personally because to know that somebody cares,
right? Exactly,
and this guy. Eats, breathes, and sleeps deer hunting, and so we have that connection. And he cares about the sportsman. He cares about our resource. He cares about this state and its citizens, and I just really appreciate that, and that input that you've given me in moving the ship, turning the ship to the right direction.
Well, you equate this to a ship. You don't take a ship and you go, I'm going to make a left-hand turn here and make that turn. And it takes a long time. And I've noticed this even at my own camp, my own deer camp. Mm-hmm. It takes time, and you start making a move in a direction. And when we started our deer co-op, it was the same way. And I talked to one of the other landowners, and he said, how can we get everybody in the area on the same page? I go, we don't have to be on the same page. We got to be on the same bus heading in a general direction.
That's right. That's exactly
we don't all have to shoot the same deer. We don't all have to catch the same fish. We don't all have to, plant the same trees. Whatever. It's just let's start sharing ideas, sharing what we love about the outdoors and what's working for us, and be open to new ideas. And I got to think, is that what we need to be doing as a whole? Whether you're a fisherman, whether you're a deer hunter, we focus on deer hunting today, but this involves everybody.
We are all in this together. Whether you like to hunt pheasants, whether you're after woodcock, whether you're out shooting prairie dogs, it doesn't matter what it is, or woodchucks here in Michigan. It doesn't matter. We have to be united on all fronts. Whether you're in a high fence facility, a large landowner, or you hunt public land, all of that is equally important, because if we start dividing and fighting in amongst ourselves, that's going to give a toehold to the Humane Society of the United States, to PETA, and other animal rights activist organizations that seek to divide us in every way possible, and then that's going to fracture and splinter it and make us less effective to turn the ship. We have to be united. If you don't like to do something, don't do it. But the thing is, we're all in this together. We all deeply care about the environment and about the resources and conservation. In fact, some of the largest environmentalists and conservationists are sportsmen because of the work. I mean, if my wife only knew how much money I put into the property,
Right?
Don't tell anybody that.
you know, it's we're deeply invested in this. And for example, I haven't harvested a mature buck in 3 years. I've shot multiple does every single year, but I'm selective. I'm picky. I've helped my daughters hunt and be successful, and now they're automatically choosy on what they harvest. And so this fight's personal to me. I have 3 daughters, 9, 13, and my oldest will be 16 in the spring. They are all out hunting with me. They've all been successful hunters. My little one, not yet, with a success. She passed on a really beautiful 8-pointer last fall, because she wanted to hunt with the crossbow and not with the rifle. So we had a beautiful 8-point on the youth hunt at about 60 to 80 yards. And I said, well, if we had the 243, that would be a dead buck. But she had a great time just being out. 2 years ago, my middle daughter accomplished the Michigan Big Game Slam, which is deer, turkey, bear, and elk, all in the state of Michigan, all by 12 years old. What that's done is given me talking points and opportunities to talk with my colleagues in the state legislature and constituents around the state about what an awesome, incredible resource we have in the state of Michigan. I mean, we have opportunities every day to walk out of our door and have an absolute paradise. Whether you're fishing for brook trout, whether you're going bow fishing for carp, whether you're pursuing whitetail deer, or you want to go see an elk, or you want to find a bear. We have it here in the state of Michigan.
You know, and he brought up Triston brought up a great point earlier. People, all it takes is a simple email. Email them. Let them know how you're doing out there with what you're doing in the outdoors. Let them know that, yes, this outdoors is important. Whether, like you said, prairie dogs, hunting, whatever it is.
And whether you're a private landowner or a public landowner. I mean, we talked about that with Dr. James Cole today. You know, what does the public land guy do, or gal? I don't want to exclude anybody. Everybody has a vested interest in this. Yes. But one last question before we let you go. Are we making progress?
Absolutely. Without question, we're making progress as sportsmen. When you're seeing the pictures on social media, and social media can be a blessing and a curse, but when you see them, we're making progress. You're seeing healthier deer. You're seeing people sharing their story about what they're doing, and we are making a difference. And I think that also is helping drive us to solutions with the Department of Natural Resources. We have an awesome brain trust within the department. We have absolute professionals in there. Now we just have to maneuver this in moving towards quality versus quantity and get the sportsmen on board with this, and we can do this, and we can continue to keep Michigan a deer hunter's paradise. In fact, we should be drawing sportsmen in from other states. That's going to help fill that void for that 90% reliance on license sales for our citizens here. We just have to have the quality. Just like I just begged to go to Ohio deer hunting, we need people to come to Michigan, and we
beg
have
to come to
body
Michigan.
sense. We can do it.
We can have it hands down. I mean, easily, you know, and we are making progress. And even if you think about, you know, Let Them Go, Let Them Grow page. Okay, we have 30,000 people on our page, and this is 30,000 people that are passing deer now that maybe a lot of them weren't before.
Right.
And you know, it's like the spider web effect. You know, and we're growing continuously every day, but that message is getting out there, and the tides are changing.
Absolutely.
And it's been a huge positive, and working with, you know, Triston and other legislatures. And to your point, the email, my last two, I think Triston might have had a little something to do with it too, but I sent emails to these legislatures, and I have appointments coming up with them. They're wanting to meet with us and talk about this stuff.
Well,
so
the outdoorsman's voice and vote counts.
Right.
Absolutely, without question. I mean, so many people are sportsmen at some level in Michigan or have family members that are deeply passionate about it. The world is run by the people that show up and pay attention and involve themselves in the conversation. It's not that hard. I'm just a regular working guy. I was a hunting guide, I was a truck driver, and now I have a phenomenal opportunity for a period of time to represent citizens in the state legislature. I want to hear from you.
All right, Dan, you got anything else?
I think he covered it all.
All right, we're going to step outside, and we'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back, second segment of the show, everybody. So, first segment, you got to hear from Triston Cole, who
thinking about that interview, not even knowing that there was a Michigan Sportsman Caucus,
right?
And shame on us for not knowing that, but
right,
it kind of goes to show you the the communication lines. Mm-hmm. If you don't get to the right person or you don't talk to the right person,
right,
it's not a well-known thing out there that the Michigan Sportsman Caucus.
Yeah,
what?
right.
And they do a breakfast. What?
Yeah, I'm all about breakfast. I got my coffee here. Of course, it's not breakfast time, but
right. But it just goes to show you that the trouble we have when you have trouble with communications. If more people knew about that, and more people knew how to communicate, like we said in the interview. And he said it himself. He goes, we read our emails.
Right.
So if you email us with a good story, bad story about outdoors, that gives him more ammo to go to the people and say, this is why we need
to do this, that, or the other.
Whatever it might be.
Right on.
And that's the thing. You don't know. And when you find out, it's like, oh, okay,
yeah,
cool.
Wish I'd known that sooner.
Right, exactly.
So, but it was cool. It was cool being able to talk to, a state rep. I got a friend of mine who's a state rep, so
you guys were going back and forth about that.
So, they're on different sides of the aisle, so I told him when he sees him, go up and give him a slap at the side of the back of the head and tell him, hey, that's from Mike, the guy you used to work with.
And kudos out to Lincoln Roan for inviting him and him showing up.
Absolutely.
That getting the right people to the right things is very critical for what he wants to do.
Right. So. No, all good stuff.
Absolutely.
And talking about good stuff tonight.
And Lincoln Roan is watching.
Oh, hey, Lincoln, what's going on? Well, Lincoln, we're going to put something on that was on your page. And I want to give a shout out to Heather Reimer, and I hope I said her name correctly, but she gave us permission to use these photos. And this is something that happened after you and I left.
Yeah. When we left, it was about 2:30, and they had the does come in with one buck coming in.
Yep.
And then I guess another buck came in.
Yeah. Okay, so now, disclaimer, as usual, if you're watching on the live stream and you have a squeamish stomach, you're going to want to turn away, okay?
There will be blood in these pictures.
That's right. So you can turn your volume up. You can listen. You don't necessarily have to watch, but this is pretty cool stuff. You're going to miss it if you don't look. If you've got young ones and you don't want them to see it, they're not ready for seeing something on the inside of a deer yet, then you may want them to turn away.
Right.
But we're going to put the picture up now, so you've had plenty of time. We've given you fair warning. So
that's right.
All right.
She took these pictures of
the inside of the roof of a buck's mouth. And you can see in the circle there, if you look, there's a little tiny white circle, okay? It looks like a circle. And that, my friends, is a gland that's in the roof of their mouth. And you know what? I don't have it in front of me here. Let me see if I can pop over to the page real quick and say exactly what that gland is.
Now, is this gland in bucks and does?
Yes, she cleared that up too. Yes.
Okay.
Because a lot of people say, well, I thought that was only in bucks. But basically, this is when they're curling their lip and they're sampling the air and trying to get scent into their part of their olfactory process and figure out, okay, is that a pheromone from a doe? And do I need to take care of business?
Okay. All right. So it's used during mating.
Yes.
During the rut.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find this real quick. I'm sorry. I should have had this already up, but it won't take me but a second here.
No, it's really cool when stuff like, because this happened after we left, and great she took these pictures, and it's just one of those things we didn't know anything about it until we saw the post.
This actually happened after we left that day. That Dr. James Kroll, who was there doing the deer health check and checking the insides of these deers out and taking parts out and explaining things to us, as we talked about last week. And this was one of the things that he held class for, so to speak, after the fact. And
the Jacobson's organ.
That might is that who?
That's what Luke says.
Okay, yes. Okay, thank you, Luke, for explaining what that was. As I'm scrolling through looking for this photo on their page right now. Okay, here we go. Because I really would like to read the whole post of what Heather had posted. And the vomeronasal nasal organ, the VNO, or the Jacobson organ, yep, is exactly what Luke had just typed, is located in the roof of a deer's mouth. It extends from the front of the mouth to the sinus and ultimately communicates to the hypothalamus, the part of the brain that regulates hormones. When they do this, they're smelling scent, or the inorganic or organic scent, and then they curl their top lip, demonstrating the Fleshman posture that moves scent into the VNO, where the scent travels to the hypothalamus. So when they're curling their lip, they're moving scent into the...
They're gathering
it, and it's getting onto that organ, and then it's being transported, the signal is being transported to the hypothalamus.
Really?
So, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Wow, that's a lot right there for to take in.
and you notice they went down to a 3-letter acronym.
Yes, it makes it a lot easier because I can't say it. Okay?
Right, exactly.
The deer can analyze the scent to see if the pheromones are present. A lot of hunters think that it's just a smelling technique, which it is, but it applies to a whole new level of scrutiny to the smell, where the deer can decide what to do on a reproductive side, if they need to do anything at all. So basically, they're seeing if the doe's an estrus. They're using that to gather that scent, and it's triggering something. So there you go. That's your biology class for the day. And actually, I got another view of that here, that gland here, that we'll switch to and give you a look just from a different angle. It's not circled there, but you can see that same gland right there.
You know what? I tell you what. That's another thing. After being at this health check, is you're never gonna open up a deer again the same way.
Oh no, because actually, you know what I'm gonna do? Next buck I shoot, I'm gonna look for that gland.
Right, exactly.
I'm
gonna look for that gland. I might even decide to look at the liver. You know, it just if I might want to take more time with it, depending on the situation.
Yeah. Actually, some people were posting some things back and forth, and she made mention that it's kind of like Viagra. The funny thing is that some cloven-hoofed animals have this, but learned that some cats, snakes, and bears have it too. So you learn something new every day. She says. Yeah. There was a specific post that mentioned talking about does. Actually, yeah. Another person said, actually, does have the gland also, but it is not believed that they use it. That was from Dr. Kroll. But then somebody said, does do use it, but not as much as bucks. They use it to smell and analyze blood or birthing fluid. Both will use it for unusually strange or inorganic pungent odors like smoke, creosote, exhaust from vehicles. So, yeah, they're using this to do their thing, and
so that goes
sample
back
scents.
That goes back to the people that you hear that talk about how when they go out smoking, or you're sitting in the car and a deer walks up.
Car exhaust,
exactly.
Yeah,
it's the inquisitive nature of the animal, and they use. It's funny you say they use that gland probably to figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
So, that's pretty wild.
Yeah. So there you can see the buck exhibiting on the photo there, the curl of the lip for those of you on the live stream. Here's another younger buck, kind of giving the old curl up there too. So
yeah, exactly. And you know what? And speaking of that,
have you ever seen a deer do that?
Yes.
Okay, just wondering because a lot of people don't get to see certain things.
Yep, I've seen them do that. And speaking of looking at bucks, tonight deer were in, and I had most of the deer have dropped their antlers.
Okay.
But I had a half of an 8-point, probably an 8-point, come in tonight.
Okay.
And he was holding on to that one. And I was like, I don't think he was the big one in the area. But
2 weeks ago, remember, I'd talked to you. I don't think I've mentioned this on a show yet, but our camp manager actually saw a buck that still had antlers.
Yep.
You know, and he was, running around with a harem of does, just kind of chilling, doing his thing. He hadn't dropped yet. So
right, exactly. So you show that buck, But yeah, it's neat, and they both have this gland, but they kind of use it for different things.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool, just something I never knew, and shame on us for not staying longer.
Well, we had to get to your camp.
We had to get over to my camp,
and it's funny. Your camp is less than 10 miles away,
as a crow flies, but it took us about 30 to get there.
Right,
we had to go. So we had to go back west to get to the main road. We had to drive south to get back down, and then drive east across to catch the road back north to go back up.
Right.
Yeah. You had to make a big U.
Exactly.
And had there been a road nearby, we could. It's like 10 miles as a crow flies.
Right, exactly. So yeah, if you ever can get out to one of these, if they do a health check in your area, and I hope the DNR does this. So.
Who was it? Anna or was it the new health? Or I mean, the new DNR.
Emily,
yeah, Jacobson. I don't know. Maybe I got the name wrong. The health specialist for the area is either her or Anna or both. We're talking about wanting to do, obviously something not as involved as what they do there, but maybe doing some health checks and
public health checks.
Yeah, of being able to do this maybe on a wider scale.
So people
looking at just basic stuff.
The public that are inquisitive can come to this, ask all the questions they want to ask,
right,
and get them answered, and they can show.
Well,
them
hopefully get them answered,
right?
Maybe not all of them.
No,
I got a lot of questions, and a lot of them don't ever get answered.
Right.
So, but yeah, you can see that gland right there in the little circle inside the circle there. So
pretty cool.
Yeah,
just like the other gland that's between the hoofs.
Yeah, there was a picture of that too.
You posted that on our page.
The something interdigital gland, and they said bucks use that when they're making scrapes and things like that, leaving scent there.
Yep.
So yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is definitely
the orbital gland for when they're got their head up and they're making a scrape, and then they got licking branches, and
they're rubbing their
head and their eyes on stuff like that. So yeah, it's like all kinds of scent glands that they've got that they use to mark territory and leave scent, and it's pretty cool. It's all good stuff. So, all right, well, enough of that stuff. I guess people probably want to see us now.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe that roof of that deer's mouth's better looking than we are. Who knows? But for those on the podcast, come over, check out the live stream that we're going to post later on throughout the week, or go back and catch the recorded version of this so you can see it, because it's science of things that a lot of people don't know and they wonder, and it's a great way to be able to see this and figure out where it's at in the mouth and just look for it. So
exactly, it's just one of those things. Like I said, you go to one of these things, you're never going to gut your deer again looking at it the same way.
No, not at all.
It just amazes me.
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. So, what else you want to talk about tonight? Here, this side. We got just. You know what? Let's go ahead. Let's take our first break.
All right.
Our second break now. We'll take our next break here. We come back. We'll catch up on a few things we've been doing here in the past couple of weeks. We haven't had a chance to talk about yet.
We've kind of been busy.
And you were busy this weekend as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's step outside and we'll be right back after this.
So what do you do when you've completely redefined the way bows are engineered? When you've reached the pinnacle and the band starts playing your victory song, you start a revolution out of thin air. Introducing the all-new PSE Carbon Air, engineered with true carbon technology to be the lightest high-performance bow in the world. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets, or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back. Third segment of the show, everybody.
Segment of the show.
And when we left, we said we had a few things to catch up on.
Yeah, a few weeks back before we started going places and health checks and that.
Running all over.
You decided to do a late night jaunt.
I did.
I don't think we talked about this on the show.
If
anything, we might have just touched on it quickly.
Yeah, I don't think we did. I don't think we went into any detail.
But you finally got out with your friend to go with the dogs and chase some raccoons.
Yeah, Doug McDonald, a buddy of mine that Trapping Buddy, and he's got some blue tick hounds, and going cooning, as he calls it. We've been in contact. Actually, we kind of lost contact with each other over the last year or so. He got busy, I got busy, and I was like, I need to call Doug. So you know how it is. You get a hunting buddy or a friend or something, and you're friends, but you get busy.
Right, you get busy, and
yeah. So I give him a call, and it was just like old times, and like we hadn't missed a beat, you know. And he's like, "Hey, well, what are you doing this week?" And I said, "I'm just working," you know. And I had switched my work shift since I had last talked to him.
Oh, okay.
So I'm, you know, getting out at 9:30 at night instead of 11:30. And he's like, "Well, that's perfect." He said, "You want to go coon dogging?" And I'm like, "Heck yeah, let's go." You know, when? He said, "Well, when we get the next warm up and weather, you know, we'll go." So it wasn't 2 or 3 days later. We knew we had some warm weather coming, and he gave me a call. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing tonight?" And I said, "Hopefully going coon dogging." He's like, "Yeah, let's go." So, you know, I went over and got to his house, loaded the dogs up, picked up another buddy of his, and we went around the corner to a spot that his buddy had access to that I didn't know you could hunt, because there's other things that go on at this place. I don't want to say where it's at.
Right, exactly.
But, you know, they get a big patch of woods, you know. And I was like, well, this is pretty cool. Okay, so let's go. Got out there, and, you know, all the snow had melted, so there's no snow on the ground. It all dried up. There's no water in the woods. I mean,
that's good.
It's dry, you know. Everything, but the ground's a little soft. You know, there's a few puddles here and there, but it's not like, you know, you got standing water everywhere. So, you know, we got to this place, cut the dogs loose, or the dog loose. We took 2, but only run them 1 at a time. And you know, he got on a trail pretty quick, and it's just something. When we got stopped and got out to get the dog out, you can hear him in the box, and you can hear their tails wagging and slapping the side of the box. You know, it's like, come on, let me out. You know, it's just the excitement's building, and gets him out, gets the collar on, gets the GPS thing going and everything. And I got the camera, and, you know, he loaded the rifle up, and away we went. You know, turned the dog, cut him loose, and he got on a trail pretty quick. And this dog really didn't bay until he caught a track.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know, typically you cut him loose and you hear him, you know, bay every now and then, you know, occasionally. But this one, he got on the track, he just started hammering, you know. And I'm like, this is cool. And the hair in the back of your neck stands up. You know, it was a full moon out, which you could see without a flashlight. It's good for trying to run a camera in low light, but it's not great for cooning. And I don't know why. You know, I asked him, I was like, well, why does it make a difference? He says, I don't know. He says, I just don't have good luck when it's full moon. He said, we just don't.
When it's full moon, you don't have good luck.
Yeah, when, you know, moonlight, full moon.
That's interesting,
and
because
light.
I thought for sure, being a nighttime animal,
yeah,
they'd want more light.
Right.
Well, I guess predator-wise, maybe they don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the deal was, but yeah. So, you know, he catches a track and gets on a tree, and he starts chopping and really hammering. So we go in, get to it. Sure enough, it's a den tree. You can see a big hole in the side of the tree. It's like, okay, you know, Mr. Coon's there, but you know he's inside that hole there, and he ain't around. Yeah, he ain't coming out. So had to pull him off, leash him up, get him back out, cut him loose on another one. Got on the second tree, den tree again. And I'm like, man, we're not going to get any coons now. I had that feeling, you know. So we took him, leashed him up, got out of that section, and went to a whole different section of the woods way on down. And that plays significance here at the end of the story.
Oh, okay.
So we walk, and we're walking through the paths, you know, making our way, and we're meandering around. And obviously, I'm already turned around. I don't know which direction's north, you know. I'm trying to look at the city lights shining in the distance to try to figure out where I'm at. And because we're outside of town, we're south of Flint, probably 8, 9, 10 miles ish. So he catches another track. You know, and he's hammering pretty good, and he gets on a tree. So we go back there. Sure enough, there's a coon.
All right.
Cool, you know. So got a coon, you know, and, you know, shoot it, comes down to the ground, and if coon ain't dead,
oh, yeah,
it's game on.
Right, yeah.
Between the dog and the coon, you know, until he gets him snuffed out, you know. So, and then you hear a yelp. All of a sudden, he got the wrong end of the coon. The coon turned around, grabbed him, got his ear.
Oh,
you know, give him a nice little piercing, and after that, the coon was dead. After that, he's like, I'm not having none of that. And
yeah, they are a little feisty little animal when they're not dead.
But you know, and then we got out, cut him loose on another track, and actually got another one, and it was a pretty big one, big old boar. But yeah, it was just really neat listening to a dog work. You're standing out, you know, this would have been first week of February, I think. It was about 2 weeks ago, I think. And you're listening to a dog work. There's no snow on the ground. It's fairly warm. I got a jacket on and a shirt on underneath, you know, and a hat. It's not cold.
Right, which is nice because
it was like 40 degrees maybe.
Yeah, which being January, February, which is lucky.
So, you know, that made it real nice. And you're able to get out and walk around and just get some fresh air in your lungs. Get your boots on and put boots on the ground and get in the woods and put some steps on the ground. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And plus, you were howling at the moon. So.
Yeah, I did howl a little bit.
Yeah, it's full moon.
Yeah, so
for you, it was pretty bright out.
yeah, I could see pretty decent, especially when we kicked on the lights. I could shoot video,
really,
so it made it all right. But so at the beginning, I told you we meandered
Yes.
way through the woods, and he's like, "Well, we can meander all the way back, or we can cut straight across. You know, come out to the edge of the woods right here and cut across the field, and the parking lot's right there." And I'm like,
Okay. So you walked the woods when there was a field.
yeah, there's a cornfield in front of him between the road and the tree line.
Okay.
It was a cut cornfield. So we got down there and I said, "Well, what's the big deal?" He goes, "Well, there's water between here and the truck, so we'd have to meander all the way back around. We can just cut straight across." And he goes, "But," he said, "we got to go out and check the field." I go, "What do you mean check the field?" He goes, "Well," he said, "he's probably chisel plowed it." And we got out there, and he didn't chisel. It was disked, but it was still rough.
Okay.
And you could see patches of snow here and there, but ground had thawed.
Oh.
So it's all mud. And he's like, "Okay, you got your knee boots on, right?" I'm like, "Yep." He goes, "Well, do you mind walking across?" I'm like, yeah, it's what, half mile? Yeah, half mile. Okay.
But it's thawed out.
Well, after the first 100 yards, I'm like, this stinks. I got like 5 pounds of mud on each boot, you know. And then I'm looking for the spots to walk where there's either a clump of old cornstalk or snow, you know, trying to stay out of the mud. Well, that didn't work. So after a half hour, we all got back to the truck. There's a mud hole there. We're all in the mud hole, kicking around, trying to get the mud off our boots.
So you were knee deep in mud.
My hips were killing me, you know, from dragging and trying to pull out and you know, keeping your boots on.
I was going to say, did you lose a boot or two?
No, we didn't lose any boots.
Oh, good.
You know, and luckily I didn't have to fight the dog. You know, Doug had the dog, you know, had him on a leash, so he's pulling him.
Oh, man.
You know, the other guy, he was walking, you know, and I was walking. I had my backpack, but not a big deal. But after we got done, it's like, "Well, do you want to go to another field, or you guys about had it?" And I said, "Whatever you guys want to do. Please, let's go home." You know, you don't want to be that guy.
No, you don't want to be that guy.
You know,
but you didn't expect to walk half a mile through mud, right? You know?
Right. Well, the other guy, he said to Doug, he's like, "Well, how about you just take and drop me off? You guys can go to another spot." He says, "I've had enough tonight." So he dropped him off, and Doug looks over at me. He goes, "Well, what do you think?" I go, "Well, I don't want to be the guy to tell you to go home, but I said, it's up to you." And he goes, "Let's go home."
So it was a consensus. It was time to go home.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But
it was fun.
Good to get back out there. It's been a while since you'd been out with the dogs. And
I want to say since probably 2014.
Okay.
Probably 3 years.
Yeah.
Maybe two to 3 years. Maybe 2 years. I'm trying to remember.
I know he went out one time and
We lost the dog.
We lost a dog.
Yeah.
That might have been the last time you were out.
Yeah, that was probably I know that was the last time I went out, and that was the worst night of hunting in my entire life. And that dog climbed a tree. Yes, those dogs will climb trees.
Yeah, if they get a
blowdown,
an avenue to go up, yep, they will go up it.
You know, the tree was leaning like on a 45. You know what they call a widowmaker. It was hanging, and the coon went up that, and the dog went right up it and couldn't back down, and it fell and broke its back, and we lost the dog that night. So
that stinks.
And actually, the dog we were running 2 weeks ago was this one's pup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She had a litter, and that's the one he got to keep out of the litter.
Wow.
So, yep.
Good thing. So you ended up getting one.
Two. Got two. Treed 4, 2 were dead trees, and shot 2. Yep.
So now, when I went yesterday, I was out at the Lansing Deer and Turkey Show.
Right.
The Predator guys were there.
Okay.
Do you know what the price of furs are? Are they up, down?
Oh man, I wish we'd have talked about this before the show, because I just saw prices come back from a fur sale here in Michigan.
Okay.
And actually, I was surprised. Don't quote me on this, but I think the average price of coon pelts was about $7.50, $8, I believe, which is as higher than they've been. And actually, muskrats were averaging about $4.50. Coyote pelts were about $24, $25.
Okay.
Now, I don't know. I got to imagine those are fleshed and stretched. Those are probably not green. And for those of you who don't know, who are not into trapping, green is when you take an animal after you dispatch it and you bring it back home and you skin it out. And then you take it and you put it on a fleshing board and you flesh it. You get all the meat, the fat, the gristle, anything that's on that hide. You get it right down to the hide, okay? And then you stretch them and let them dry. Okay, now that's what's called fleshing. But green is when you skin them and you tuck them and turn them, and then you lay them flat and put newspaper between each fur and lay them in a freezer and freeze them.
Okay.
So that's what we do until a sale.
And so with the prices that you
I got to imagine those were probably put up first.
So they've actually seemed to be rising. Because I heard the last few years people were they're kind of down on the fur trade. Yeah. Because the prices weren't there. Yeah. People are just either holding on to them or not. You weren't making any money at it.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Oh no! I started to say somebody said sales were good, but that's for the tickets for the deer summit coming up. That's Lincoln's post.
Yes, that's Lincoln.
Yeah. So I think they're starting to come back a little bit
because I know the Asian market really put a ding in them.
Yes, yeah. The Asian and the Russian market really hammered the furs here in the last couple of years. Well, last time I trapped was 2012, because when we had the major catastrophe here at the house, I was just getting traps ready. It was leading into trapping season. Right. And I was in the process right before that getting things ready to put into the ground when season opened. So, and since then, the fur prices have been horrible. That previous year, 2012, I didn't have a lot of furs because I was just learning how to trap. But I made decent money at doing. I mean, I put some money in my pocket
for the time you put in, right?
Yeah.
For what you did. Yeah. It was. I remember stopping at the.
You were with me when I sold them, right?
We were heading up to Saginaw.
Okay.
And we stopped at that little...
the little side of the road.
Side of the road and basically a window.
Inside of a panel truck.
Here, what do you want to... How much you going to give me, right?
Yep. Groenwald, yep. They travel around the United States, and they have marked locations they stop at. You get a fur harvester's magazine, and they'll have their whole schedule of where they're going to be, what town, what time, and what day they're going to stop, and you better be there.
Right, because they're moving on to their next stop.
Right. Yep. So
that's pretty wild. But I'm hoping then fur prices rebound, so we get more people out there doing this.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of guys starting to already talk. Matter of fact, Tim Cias last night on his show on the Limb, his live stream, he was talking to some guys about thinning out the predators from turkey nests,
Oh, yeah.
Crows, possums, raccoons, anything that'll raid those nests. So, we need to get some more people back involved. I need to get involved more in that. I'd like to get back into coyote trapping, I've yet to trap a coyote. And that's something that I want to be able to say I've done.
And like you said, we talked about this, and I've asked you, but around the area, you used to hear them every once in a while, but you haven't heard them lately.
Here we have.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Okay.
The last 2 or 3 weeks here, it's been pretty heavy.
Really?
Yeah, the old song dogs have been yipping and yapping, and we talked to a neighbor around the corner. I mean, as a crow flies a quarter mile from here, right across our back field, and she was out the other night stoking up. They've got an outside wood furnace system that does their water and their furnace both, and they were putting wood in that, and she said it sounded like they were in the yard. Pack of them. So, and my wife has been hearing them pretty regular as well. So. Okay,
so they have come back to the area.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's I've got the old rifle ready to go. Oh. So,
right,
I hear it at night. If it's a full moon night and they're out there and I can see them. It's legal. What I've got's legal to shoot them at night with. We can hunt them at night, and I'm going to.
Right.
So
definitely, And plus, for a coyote, you can get a bookend for the one you got.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that one I shot.
Yep.
And I'd like to get one with a trap, and then I want to take it, I want to flesh it, stretch it, and I want to make a rug out of it. And then after that, anything I got, I'd probably sell. But I got to get back into trapping. So, but. No, it's all good. So,
good deal.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're bumping up here on our last break. Let's take our last break. When we come back, you've been busy this weekend. We'll talk a little bit about what you've been up to.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this.
I shoot PSE because I like one pin to 40 yards.
I shoot PSE for the perfect combination of feel and performance.
I shoot PSE because you can shoot lighter poundage and increase arrow speed.
I shoot PSE for the fastest bows on the planet. I shoot PSE because my livelihood depends on my bow.
I shoot PSE because better engineering makes a better bow.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE. I shoot PSE.
Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back. Last segment of the show. We're talking about the inside of the roofs of buck and doe's mouths.
Chasing raccoons through the night.
The dead of night, talking about trapping.
And
now you've been up to something.
Actually, it was the usual weekend for the 2018 Lansing Deer and Turkey Spectacular.
Okay. Show season.
Yeah, show season. Imagine that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Deb and I packed up the car and headed on over there for couple hours of walking around and checking it out.
I saw a photo of you doing something. It didn't take me long to pick out what you were doing.
You're jealous, weren't you?
Yes, I was. And you're trying to switch again, aren't you?
You're jealous. You are just
yeah,
flat out jealous.
Oh, I was. I was miffed. I'm like, man, he's over there hanging out with our friends.
Right, exactly.
You didn't invite me to go, and you're over there playing with new toys.
Well, actually, there's a story behind that because I didn't even know they were there.
Sure.
And Deb pointed them out to me.
Okay.
But she couldn't remember their name.
Deb, come on.
So she's trying to point somebody out to me that I have no idea who she's trying to point out to me through a crowd.
One of our sponsors.
Well,
nonetheless.
Well, that guy.
That guy.
Okay. That guy right there, Mr. Know-It-All.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, who are you pointing to? So she says, come here. And so she walked me over there, and it was Chris and Ashley Schnurr.
Okay.
I'm like, oh!
Those guys.
Yes, those guys. Right. And I'm like, oh, okay. So they were there helping out the business Crossbows. And
Compounds and Crossbows. One of our PSE dealers in the area.
So they were helping them out. They had they picked up Dan's stuff, and they had Dan's bows there and the tent there. But they were helping them out. They had plenty of people in the booth. What was nice to see is when we got there probably about 11:30, and there was actually a lineup to buy tickets and a lineup to get in.
To the show?
To the show.
Okay.
Which was pretty good.
Why do you think that is? Because we haven't typically seen that in the past here, in the past couple of years.
I want to say that it might have been good weather.
Weather, yeah.
Because we've gone there before, and it's
been freezing cold,
either
nasty.
Freezing cold, or the drive was terrible, going or to or from.
Good weather, everybody's been inside, they haven't had a chance to get out, and they want to go see some hunting stuff.
And it really wasn't that bad, because we were in hoodies, and we were able to walk into the venue. But yeah, it was nice to see, actually. And then when you walked in, it was kind of packed.
Okay.
So it was good to see the people were there. I could tell by the buckets of, you know how they do the giveaway?
Right.
They have those buckets where you put your entry forms in, and those were all pretty full.
Okay.
So that was actually pretty good. So I walked in, found Chris and Ashley there, did shoot the carbon, which was pretty nice. Okay, it was really nice.
Which one? The stealth?
The stealth, yeah.
Okay. Back up a little bit. We shot them at ATA. So the one you shot at the show, did it have...
It did not have the aggressive...
It didn't have the speed mod on it.
No, it was a lot better.
Okay, it was just your basic ECS cam with basically with the 90%
unless it was, he had it turned down. We thought we were shooting at probably about 45, 47 pounds.
Oh, that's way less than what we were shooting out there.
So it might not had to have... Because Ashley was actually shooting it before I shot it.
Okay.
She was shooting it, then she goes, here, you got to try this. Okay.
So you really don't know if it had the speed mod.
I didn't think it did. It did not feel...
Didn't feel like the one we shot.
No, not at all.
And you know what? We released that video 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
And there's a video in there of Danny and I shooting. And yeah, it's not... With the speed mod, it wasn't quite what I expected.
No.
That thing flies, but there's give and take. And when you give that, it shoots like the old... Omen, yes. Where he's pull, kick. You can feel it just got that little hitch in just a little valley and bang.
Don't let it go forward.
Yeah, you're on the back wall and you don't let it creep. Matter of fact, the first time I drew, I kind of double pumped.
Right.
And not knowing that it was a speed mod on that thing, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So
you and I both.
Right.
But Chris had some stand releases.
Yeah. That's what I noticed because Danny's at full draw, and the picture's from like this angle. And what do I see in his hand but a thumb release? Oh, man. And I'm like, dang it.
That is so awesome. And he told me he had 3 of them, I think.
Yep.
And he told me, he looked at it and goes, now this one's really touchy. Don't
mess around with it.
Yeah. Man, those are some nice releases.
Did you shoot the one that has the hook on where you can just let go of it and it hangs?
He did have the one that had the hook.
Okay.
Yep.
For like hunting.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I was talking to him about that, matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one that he talked about as well is going to have the, it's not a total hook. It's got a thing that closes it off so you could use that one in the hunting. It's just not the hook.
Okay.
So.
Is it a double jaw?
No. It's just the single jaw, but it's got the, I guess you want to call it a stopper or something that completes.
It closes against.
Yes.
Okay.
But those releases are just so nice.
So let me ask you, are you going to make the switch this year? Because you started in that direction last year.
I did
with
last
something
year.
different.
Right. And totally not even in this classification of what these are.
Well, Danny got into that, and all of a sudden he's like, all over the place.
Yeah, no. I would like to.
So this isn't like what you had tried last year.
Not even
totally
close.
got you messed up for a while.
I was a basket case.
So how many times did you shoot it?
3 times.
That's okay, just 3. Did you try a different one or just?
He gave me 2 different ones actually.
Okay.
And all 3 of them were nice.
Okay.
But it was just. You just sit there and you just kind of just.
And for those of you who are wondering what we're talking about, it's a thumb release, trigger release.
Yes.
Or a thumb. It's not a trigger. It's a thumb release for compound bow. And we actually talked with the owner from Stan's at ATA.
Yes.
And we're working on that video, and we're going to have that video out very soon, and you'll be able to see exactly what we're talking about. Because he kind of goes through that and talks about the science behind why the thumb release is the thing to use.
And he talked about it also on hunter's terms.
Yep, on a hunter's terms, so you can understand where it makes sense to the hunter and not, because target shooters, this is pretty much what they use.
Basically, they all shoot like this style, back tension or thumb. Yes.
Yep.
But okay, so why as a hunter
want to use a thumb release?
And so he explains it very well.
Yeah, he does.
So when you see that video, we'll bring it out to you. You got to look at it. It's great. But I got to get one of those.
Okay.
Yeah, just no doubt about it.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that picture, and I go, he's shooting a thumb release.
Yeah.
And I know who he's with, and I know what kind he's shooting.
Right.
I shot one at Cabela's that was made by them.
And that was nice.
That was nice, but these others I know are the next step up.
Right, exactly. So, and those
they're more adjustable.
Stanislavski. Yeah, okay, you can say it. I can't. And people, I'm sorry about the interview. I messed it up totally, but
that was the fun part of it. I might take those outtakes and just run them back to back to back.
It was bad.
We need to do that sometime. We need to run our outtakes.
Oh, we definitely do.
Yeah,
because
we all got some good ones.
Oh, we do. We do. So. But no. So I got there. I saw them right off the bat because they're right in the first row. Shot that, and then I went on my way. They had vendors, they had outfitters, they had
the usual.
They had the Field and Stream, the bucks there, the big bucks from. They had the Milo Hansen buck there.
Oh, really?
They had they had a whole wall.
I saw some pictures of big bucks, and I wondered what that was all about.
Yeah, those were the big. I guess that's the traveling part of. Yeah, because you could bring in your own big buck. And put it there. But they had the Milo Hansen buck. They had bucks from everywhere: Michigan, Kansas, Iowa.
Okay,
you just name it, and they were that was their running showcase. But man, it's just
good stuff, huh?
Some of those bucks, I could not imagine walking up on one of those after you just shot that.
Yeah, no ground shrinkage in any of those.
I look at the mount, and some of them had the full body mount,
right?
And then I just kind of picture that laying on its side, and you're walking up to this, and you got that big wide rack, or you got that big. There was one that was just gnarly, but it had the double drop tines, and it was just like. Wow.
You know when it's laying there, the head's not touching the ground because it's sticking out past its ears this far.
Right, exactly. So it was just... Seeing those bucks is just amazing. And kudos to all those guys that went out and got them and ladies that got them. But I saw that, and they had some other stuff there. But it was a good show. It was busy.
Okay.
went by killer food plots. Yeah, I couldn't get within 10 feet of them because they were just all huddled around them.
Nick was giving his seminars, huh?
Nick was there giving his seminars. Brandon Hammonds was there.
Okay, from Take Game.
Yep, said hi to him. But other than that, yeah, it's a good show. Good couple hours just walking around, seeing some people, and
good,
and looking at different stuff. So
that's good. Anything catch your eye there? Anything different than
the only thing that? Well, I wouldn't say it was a wow factor, but this guy had. I forgot to take a picture of it. I was going to take a picture of it and bring it over, but metal cutouts of a buck head. But
okay,
it had the label of a PSE or a Matthews. It was a bow hanger.
Okay.
And you put it on your wall, and you can hang your bow from it.
Okay.
So I had to get a PSE one.
So you got one?
I did.
Well, we could put it here on the wall.
You know what? It
would
won't
it fit here?
there. No, it won't fit there. It's wider than that.
It's wider than that.
Yeah.
We can take the plaque and put the plaque over here, and we'll put it right there.
No, it's already up on my wall.
You didn't give me one?
No.
Man. See? Doesn't take me to the show. Goes and shoots new gear. Gets toys. Mike's home.
You done? Done whining? Okay.
I guess. I need some.
But anyways, I thought it actually looked busier than last year by the time
That's good.
I overlooked it. At first I was like, there isn't really many. But then as I started to walk the whole show, it started getting shoulder to shoulder, and it's like,
that's good.
I think there's more people here.
That's good.
And talking to Brandon about it, he says there was a lineup right at 9 o'clock to get in the joint. And he says most of the parking lots were pretty full around there already.
Okay. All right.
So that's good.
That is good. Now, has the one on the west side of the state happened yet?
Yes, that was.
Did you go to that?
No, I did not go to that.
Okay. I was going to say compare.
I was. You know what? I'll find out. I'll ask Dave how it was.
Okay. Yeah, Dave was there.
Yep, Dave was there, and I'll ask him how it was, and we'll figure. I think the Lansing show really picked up. And I'm sure the West Side show was busy.
Well, it's good to see because we've been kind of complaining about it now for the last 3 or 4 years that it just hasn't quite been as robust as it usually is.
It could be better, obviously, but for what they got and the amount of people that were there, it's pretty good for being noon, 1, 2 o'clock.
Now, this is what, the third year they've been back in downtown Lansing?
This is second or third. I think 3 years ago. No, it might have been 4 years ago. We were at Diamonddale.
I know when it was over there, it just kind of started really suffering, and then I think it just took a little while to bring it back to Lansing for people to kind of get back adjusted to that and it taking back off. I don't know.
I know when it was at Diamonddale it was okay, but being downtown where it's got all the places you can go eat, and then go there after.
Okay,
kind of makes sense in a way.
Good.
So, but other than that, came back from there and. Just couldn't wait to get to the show tonight.
Yeah, well, that's good. Glad you came over. Got to watch the end of the race. Hats off to Team Chevy.
Josh Mo, I hope you enjoyed it down there.
Oh, now you're going to whine. But
I think it was in the 60s down there.
Austin Dillon, man. I was never an Earnhardt fan, but I wasn't an Earnhardt hater. I just, he's just a guy, he raced. But for all that guy did for the sport, we're going to switch gears. Yeah, we're talking NASCAR now. I'm sorry, but to see Richard Childress put a car back in victory lane at Daytona with number 3 on it with his grandson, I thought was pretty cool. And I think
the way he did it.
And I think Dale Spirit was in that car because the way he won it is exactly what he would have done.
And it's funny because years ago, if number 3 did that, everybody would have been like, that's the Dale move.
Yeah.
But anybody else did it, they're like, well, that was rotten. Well, wait a minute. They're just doing what he would do. Yeah. And he did it perfect.
Oh, it was. It was classic, man. It was good.
Half on the last lap, back turn. It's like, got to move out of my way here.
That's right. Got to go.
Got to go. And the weather looked awesome.
Yeah.
So with NASCAR starting, that means we're starting to gear up coming into spring.
Turkey season.
Turkey season's coming.
We saw some flocks up north last week.
Did you?
Well, yeah. You were with me.
Yeah. We saw some nice flocks.
Saw some gobblers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those 3 that were by the road.
Yep.
Yeah.
All bunched up, man.
Well, you tried to swerve and hit them.
I did not.
Purposely.
I did. My car drifted.
Well, because you were staring at it.
You get old and you start looking. You can't hold straight in the road anymore. You look that way and all of a sudden you go that way. You look that way and you start moving. So,
but there was some nice flocks there.
Yeah.
And then you made mention that area is kind of known for them.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. We just need to get them to kind of come over our way a little bit.
Do you have many on your club?
We have, and it's very cyclical. I've seen as many as 40 or 50 in the fall in a flock.
Okay.
Hens and poults. And then all of a sudden you don't see maybe 5 or 10 for a while, years. Last year this last season, we got some gobblers on the property. They were all bunched up together in the fall, which was nice, and we were seeing smaller flocks of hens. But the problem is there's no ag around the area.
Okay.
We provide the food. We put the food plots in our area. Like we've talked this to death. Around our property, there's just not a lot of food source there. So. Yep,
exactly. And with what's coming into spring, Tim Sias, Limb Walker Game Calls. He does a live show every Friday night. So go
absolutely
on Facebook, look up Limb Walker Game Calls.
Yep.
And then if you got any questions for him about turkey calls, he talked about mouth calls last night.
Right.
Which was it's not his specialty.
Right.
He kind of explained what the problems he had.
Right.
And I kind of relate to him,
yep.
so I know exactly where he's coming from. But yeah, typically it's on a Friday night. Go over there, check him out on Facebook. 8 o'clock usually is the starting time. He's on for an hour. If you got anything question-wise, whether you want to know about woods or you want to know about slates or you want to know about glass or how to or what to do, go over there, check out his live show, ask him a question, and hit him up about it, because
absolutely.
The best thing to do is ask.
Yep.
If
you don't know, ask.
And he had some great advice about learning a mouth call. And it's actually the same advice that I would give. So it was pretty good to know that my advice was about the same as his advice.
Now, his stuff is recorded just like ours is. So, after a live stream, you can actually go to that page and you can listen back through there and pick that advice up. So
exactly.
Go over and check it out.
There is nothing better than learning the mouth call while driving to and from work.
That's when I've practiced a lot. Yeah.
Yep. I do it all the time.
But I liked what he was talking about when he said, you're driving along, you got your mouth call in, you're practicing, you pull into a parking lot to go in the store and you get out and you're still practicing. He said, and all of a sudden you notice people are kind of looking at you. You might get a chuckle or two. And then some guy says, that sounds pretty good.
Right?
Like, yeah, that guy's turkey hunter.
And he had made mention that the NWTF was having their national
calling competition.
Yeah,
everybody's down there this weekend.
And I peeked in on that.
Okay.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys can make a call work.
Mm-hmm. Make it sing.
Man, they were walking across doing their calls, and it was just like, wow.
Yeah, it's amazing watching the guys do that.
But like Tim says, he's more the hunter caller as opposed to those guys that
showman.
The showman.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, but no, go over on Facebook, go check him out live every Friday night when he can. This week it was just technical difficulties. It doesn't help when you don't have any internet.
Right, so you had to do it on Saturday instead of Friday.
So, but it was pretty cool. So
well, that's good. The only thing I got is go over our page, check it out. We did On the Trail this week, talked about muzzle brakes. If it's something you're interested in, I've been doing these at work now. It's a segment from Williams Gun Sight company here
over
locally. Yeah, they make their own gun sights, different sight systems they put on firearms. But we talked about muzzle brakes. They do custom work in the gunsmithing shop as well. And we went through and they kind of showed in that 2-minute story about how they turn them, how they work, the whole 9 yards, and what it can do for reduction. Obviously hearing protection is one thing that I learned about those things is because it pushes those gases out to the side. But go over and check that out.
It pushes them out and back.
Yeah. So hearing protection is important.
And that was one of the first things, I think it was Lincoln Roan, matter of fact, said,
yeah,
you need some hearing protection.
Absolutely. It scared me to death when we were in the gun range, and he's shooting a 300 Weatherby. And, we're in the small section of the indoor range. And I've got my hearing protection on. And all of a sudden, he cut loose of that thing, and it was boom! And I'm like, "Whoa!" I mean, you could feel the percussion.
A 300, yeah.
It. I was like, "Whoa!" I didn't expect that. It kind of got me, but
well, especially when you got the muzzle brake on, and it sends it back at you.
Yeah. So, but yeah, if you're looking for something, it's something I'm working on at work. We do this segment every week. This week, actually, we did pheasant. Our local Pheasants Forever chapters having their annual banquet. They talk about some restoration stuff. That'll be coming out this week. So check it out. And, watch it through and give us a like on it if you don't mind.
Cool. So. Well, the last thing we got to do before we sign off tonight.
Yeah, I know
we got one thing.
I know one person's been sitting out here because he's like, please.
Right. We got one thing left to do. The last couple of weeks, we've been running a contest on our live Facebook feed. Having to do a couple of things. I've got the names.
Oh, you got it right here.
I got it right here. Right. So let me shake them up here, right. And you can draw the winner.
My trusty little paw.
You're a winner of a half a dozen arrows, a T-shirt, and a hat.
Which one do I draw?
Carbon Express.
Which one?
Just pick one of them.
No. What about that one?
Man, it's like the last lap of Daytona. There you go.
No bump drafting.
There you go. And the winner is
somebody we just got done talking about. Tim Sias.
Tim
Sias.
You're the winner.
You are the winner of. Let him know what he won.
You get a half a dozen arrows, Hunter SDSs from Carbon Express, a T-shirt, and a hat.
Good deal. I think we ought to throw some Up North Journal swag his way as well. What do you think?
I can do that.
We can make sure something else gets in there with a little Up North Journal logo.
Absolutely. Why not, right?
Congrats, Tim.
Congrats to Tim. And other than that, I don't have anything else.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll sign up on the podcast, and everybody, if you got any questions or anything, you can throw them at us here on the live stream. So for everybody that's listening to the podcast, make sure you get over on Wednesday when Danny posts it over on our Facebook page, and you can check that out again. Or, you can check out the record here just as soon as we get done as well. So
absolutely.
A lot of cool stuff that you may have missed. And for those of you on the live stream, make sure you get over and listen to the podcast because you didn't get to hear our interview with Triston Cole at the beginning of the show.
Great interview.
Awesome interview. So everybody on the podcast, that'll do it for us this week, folks. And don't forget, you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Carbon Express,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Scent Hunting Sense,
Killer Food Plots, Seeds, Supplements, and Attractants,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Limb Walker Turkey Calls,
Antler Action,
Family Tradition Tree Stands,
and Twisted Mind Bowstrings.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.